Welcome to A Magical Life, Health, Wealth and Weight Loss. I'm your host, Magic Barclay, lead practitioner at Holistic Natural Health Australia and #1 best-selling author. In this podcast, I aim to give you practical tips on how to accelerate and sustain your health, increase your financial, spiritual and emotional wealth, and to look at something that haunts many of us needlessly, weight loss. In some episodes, I'll have guests available to give you even more tips, but in others, the floor is yours. Drop us a line at A Magical Life Podcast on Facebook and let me know what you would like to know more about. Now, sit back and enjoy, because it is time for you to create and truly discover a magical life. Welcome back to A Magical Life. I'm your host, Magic Barclay, and today I'm joined by Paul Wilson, who is the go-to mindset coach for ambitious business owners. Paul has dedicated the last 27 years to helping people either as the emergency response manager at the Channel Tunnel over in England or the mindset maestro for business owners. In 2019, Paul partnered with Lisa Johnson, creator of Passion for Passive and owner of the massively successful GSD Facebook group, to help her clients with a wide variety of mindset issues. Paul has turned his lifelong interest in the mind and human behavior into his new career, helping people remove unwanted mental baggage and to step out of their own way. And don't we all want that? Trained in the radically different hypnosis without trance method, the control system created by Tim Box, Paul has studied more traditional methods, including those of Milton Erickson, Dr. Jonathan Royal, Jonathan Chase, Richard Bandler, and Scott Jansen. He's also attended Tony Robbins' Unleash the Power Within weekend and walked on hot coals. Ouch! In preparation for his new venture, Paul spent much of 2018 training and learning new skills. One of the highlights was Logan Murray's stand-up comedy course. We'll have to ask about that one, during which he performed 2 live stand-up gigs. The graduation gig was held at the Water Rats in North London, where Oasis played their first concert in the capital. Paul has plenty of testimonials that show how he's helped clients. His favourite and the shortest and most direct is from Nikki Botton, and I'm going to even shorten it a little bit more, but it says, basically in short, you're a bleep legend. Kiss, kiss, kiss. Paul, what a testimonial. Welcome.
Thank you very much indeed, Magic. Nice to be here.
Tell us about stand-up comedy.
Well, you know this phrase people talk about stepping out of your comfort zone. Have you heard that, I guess, yeah?
Yes.
Well, I disagree. I don't think you could, because if you step out of a door, what do? You step back into it again. So I believe that we should expand our comfort zones. And one of the ways to do that is to get yourself really, really uncomfortable. And I couldn't think of anything at the time being more uncomfortable than standing up in front of a live audience trying to tell jokes. Because if you ask anyone who's known me for more than a few minutes, I am not the kind of person that would stand up in a party and tell jokes. So a friend of mine said, Paul, you need to do this course. And I'm so happy that he told me about it, because it was fabulous. There was about 15 of us on the course, and we met every Saturday afternoon for, about 4 or 5 hours. And we learned from Logan the whole process of what it is to be funny, what being funny means, and how to develop your own material, for want of a better phrase. And doing the stand-up gig, it was brilliant. Right up until the second I put my foot onto the stage, I was absolutely petrified. And then I got onto the stage and just went into it. It was only 5 minutes. And you're thinking, Paul, what are you talking about, 5 minutes? That's nothing. But when you're on a stage in front of a live audience of strangers, that 5 minutes seems like an eternity when you're seeing people doing it. So I have a completely newfound respect for stand-up comedians now, because I know what goes into creating a routine of 20, 30 minutes, an hour or more.
It's funny you mentioned the comfort zone and your beliefs on that. My belief is there's two zones, the comfort zone, which is super small, and then there's this gigantic one around it called the learning zone. And when you're in that place of what you feel as discomfort, you're actually in a place of learning. Something great could be about to happen, something not so great could be about to happen, but either way, you're going to take a lesson from it.
As long as people do, that's one of the biggest issues with the phrase of, stepping in and out of your comfort zone, because a lot of people never, ever, ever make that step. And that is just so sad.
It is, isn't it? You see so many people just walking around going through their day to day, and then, they get to 60 or 70 and say, what have I done with my life? Or they hit 45 and have that midlife crisis. Why are you having that crisis? You should be grabbing every day.
No, I completely agree. There was a study done some years ago, a lady working in a hospice, and she was talking to people who are literally on their deathbed. And she talks to them about, regret and if they regretted anything. And the vast majority of people, when they talked about regrets, they never said, I wish I'd worked harder, or I wish I'd, not taken time off work and this kind of thing. They regretted things like, I regret not asking that girl out on a date. I regret not going on vacation with that friend who died a year later. It was basically people regretted all of the fun things, the interesting things, the people things that we take for granted every single day, and yet we don't do. I regret not going for coffee with that guy that I never saw again, and this kind of thing. And I think it's just so sad that even today, people put off and never actually do the things that they would really love to do, even if it's just for like 5 minutes or a week or a weekend. That's why I pushed myself to do the stand-up comedy course, because I didn't do it to become a stand-up comedian. Far from it. It was to expand my comfort zone and to bring in the knowledge of learning and understanding what comedy is and how it works, and also having a great time and meeting some fantastic people, because that was a big part of the experience.
I love that. And I hear what you're saying about regrets. A big kicker for me was I was in a relationship that wasn't very healthy, and to avoid that person, I was on holiday with my kids, and I extended my holiday, but I extended it by one day too many. A very dear friend of mine actually rang while the kids and I were on the road and said, I have a free ticket for you to go and see Prince live. And I went, I can't. We're in the middle of Queensland. We lived in Victoria, so we were driving home. And that was his last concert in Australia, and I missed it. So
Wow.
that was a big wake-up call for me. Don't keep running from the problem or just trying to be completely busy, because you're going to miss something amazing that could be on the way.
Oh, yeah, I couldn't agree more with you, Magic, because the one thing we can never run away from is ourselves. People think that they can go halfway around the world, they can change their persona, they can take on a new job, take on a new partner, take on a new life. But the one thing we can't run away from is ourselves and what's going on in our heads. And the more we put off facing up to the challenge, the worse it gets, the harder it becomes in our minds. Like you said about taking that extra day, if you'd have maybe done things differently, you'd have got to see the great man for the last time. It's what happens in life. It's just a really bizarre thing that we do to ourselves.
Totally. I had a lady called Elise Peck on the podcast here a few episodes ago, and she reminded me of a great saying, and it is, wherever you go, there you are.
I love that. That's brilliant. That is so true. Wherever you go, there you are. That's right. Because the one person we can't escape from, the one person that we are with forever and a day is ourselves. So if you're not happy with your circumstance, if you're not happy with the way you are, why wait to change it? Because we never know what's around the corner. We never know what's going to happen. And it's such a shame that we as individuals don't grasp the opportunity to make the changes when we have the chance to do it. We delay it, we delay it, we delay it. And then, like you said earlier on, Magic, we're suddenly 60, 70 or 80 and the opportunity is gone. It's too late, in inverted commas.
And I think that's where mindset coaches can be so helpful, because it might just be a couple of things that you need to tweak, not even change, but just tweak, so that you can get the most out of life and not have those regrets.
Yeah, I agree. It can be just a few tweaks. In most cases, it is because the blocks that we put in front of ourselves are self-inflicted. And what I mean is, sometimes it's something from the subconscious, from way back. Sometimes it's fear of the future. You know, we say, oh, fear of success, fear of failure, fear of this, fear of that. Well, how can you be afraid of something that you don't know is going to happen? Like, tomorrow never comes. I know it's a bit of a cliche, but it's true. I cannot tell you exactly what is going to happen at 7 p.m. on Monday evening here in the UK. I don't have a Scooby-Doo. I know that the news will be on somewhere on TV, but I don't know where I'll be. I don't know what I'll be doing, because who knows? It's a completely different day. It's a completely different moment. We only live in the present time. And to delay things, to put things off, is just such a shame.
Exactly. And the variables of each moment are unlimited. Listeners, I really want to get this message across to you today. What could feel awful about your health or your mindset today won't feel awful tomorrow, because there'll be a whole different set of circumstances. Everything from how you're feeling to your internal terrain to the people around you, the weather, like, it's just unlimited variables. And saying, I'm having a bad week, how do you know? You're having a bad at the moment right now, but it's up to you to change that.
Now, it's a really good point, because if you think about it, we don't know what's going on in the real world, because we don't see, hear, smell, taste, and touch. We receive information that's fed into us by our eyes, by our ears, by our senses, etc. Yeah, and like you just said, that varies so much, and temperature can change, mood can change. If you have a cup of coffee, you have a cup of tea, you have a glass of water, if you stand up, sit down, walk around, all of those little micro things have an impact on us. So 5 minutes from now, you could be feeling brilliant. 5 minutes from now, you could be feeling really miserable. So it's a pity that we don't act on what we're doing right now, because if you're enthusiastic to go for a walk right now and you don't get up and go for the walk, in 5 minutes, you're like, oh, no, I just don't feel like it now. And the opportunity is gone. You haven't taken the chance to go and do that thing, simply because we delayed it. We decided not to do it right there and then. This is where mindset comes in, because our mindset is, it's not floating, but it moves around, and it swirls and changes and expands and contracts as we are feeling. So if you wake up and you go, oh, I'm going to have a really bad day today, then guess what? Your brain goes, yeah, okay, you want a bad day? I'll give you a bad day. On the other hand, if you wake up and say, I'm going to have a really good day today, your brain goes, excellent choice. We're going to have a really good day today. And the chances are you will have a really good day, simply because you've woken up and decided that that's what you're going to have.
Totally. Your brain will look for proof, won't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It will look for the evidence of what you want to do, because our brain takes us in the direction we're pointing. So if we're pointing towards positive, that's where it takes us. If we're pointing towards doom and gloom, that's where it takes us. If we want to get really involved in the bad things that are happening in the world, and I'm sure we've all done this, you turn on the TV or you turn on the radio and you listen to the news, it's bad news, bad news, bad news, bad news, bad news, bad news, bad news. And more often than not, that puts us in a really bad place. It puts us in a really negative state, because we've just absorbed all of this negativity. It's why I say to my clients that one of the best things you can do is avoid being around, wherever possible, toxic people, because toxic people spread their poison. And you just need to stand next to a person who's spouting out toxic feelings and emotions, and you start to absorb them and you become toxic yourself.
So true. Now, Paul, what can your expertise do to accelerate health, be it emotional, spiritual, or physical?
That's a very good question. And again, it comes down to mindset. We have to decide that we are going to be the best that we can be. I have a friend of mine, a very dear friend, and she has something called Marfan syndrome, which basically damages the heart. And she just had her fourth major heart surgery just over a week ago. She was on the table for 9 hours. 9 whole hours she's been operated on to keep her alive. And they were doing lots of work on her heart. And she came out of there, and within 2 or 3 days, she was doing her live to her friends and family and people that know her. And she was just saying, look, I am so happy to be here. I am so lucky to be here. I do not want to waste a minute by being negative or being down or woe is me. I feel really bad. This is, I've got Marfan syndrome and my life is awful. She doesn't do that. She chooses to live her life as gay with a small g, as happy, as abundant, as helpful, as loving, as smiley as she possibly can be. And there are people she knows that have got the same kind of situation that she has that are the opposite. They're all, oh, I can't get up today because this is really bad and I don't want to go out and I don't want to see anybody because I've got this and I've got that and I might not be around tomorrow. Exactly the same kind of scenario, but totally different view on outlook of life. It's just really strange. So the biggest thing we can do is we can decide to be the best that we can be. So if you've got a really bad medical problem, you can still make the best of your day within the confines of the illness. Yes, you can say, oh God, I've got this really bad illness and I feel really down and really low. Or you can say, yeah, I've got this problem and I'm doing the best I can with it, but I'm not going to let it get in the way of my life as much as possible. And to me, that is the biggest thing, is to decide that we want to do something about it. Can I tell you a story about a client of mine?
Please do.
Well, there's this lady, she'd been smoking for a long, long time. She'd kind of off and off stopped and started and stopped and started. And she came to me, we did some work together. And it turned out that she'd been in a very, very toxic relationship a long time ago. And this guy had put her down, told she was hopeless and fat and this and that, and was really, ragging on her all the time. And she lost all her self-esteem, lost her self-confidence, and she just felt completely hopeless and useless. She managed somehow to get out of this relationship. And then she decided from that moment that she didn't want to be with guys ever again, didn't want to be in another relationship ever. And so her subconscious took that and said, right, okay, no more guys in your life. Fine. This is what we're going to do. And so my client started to think about everything she could do to be as unattractive as possible to guys. So she would smoke like a chimney. She just ate and ate and ate and ate and ate and ate and ate continuously. And she made herself as unattractive as she possibly could, didn't take care of her makeup, her hair, didn't dress that well, and all this kind of stuff. And guess what? She did very well at repelling guys. And she says to me, Paul, look, I don't know what's going on because I want to get into a relationship now. I want to have a boyfriend. I want somebody to love me and care for me, but I don't know what I'm doing wrong. So we unpacked all of this stuff. And we found out, we followed the streams back to the source of the problem. And the source was this relationship that she'd been into, and her defense mechanism going, no, I don't want this ever again. And so the subconscious followed what she wanted. Okay, no more guys, and gave her this massive defensive shield that, guys just couldn't penetrate because she didn't want to be in the way, didn't want to be intimate with anybody ever again. And that's what the subconscious gave her. It gave her this, sort of like mega shield to ward guys off. And it was only when she said to me, Paul, look, it's time now. I want to stop doing this. What do we do? That we were able to unpack it. And this was what? 18 months ago, maybe 19 months ago, and she's lost a load of weight. She's knocked smoke since, and she's in a very, very loving relationship with a really nice guy, simply because she realized that things weren't working and that she had to stop the behaviors. And she did the thing that I mentioned earlier on. She decided that she had to take action.
That is great. So basically, she was stuck in a pattern.
Yeah, absolutely. She was stuck in this pattern of negativity that I don't want to be in a relationship because all relationships are going to be like the last one. Therefore, I never want to be with guys again. Therefore, I'm going to do whatever it takes to repel guys. I don't want any guys in my life. So she just followed this negative pattern day after day, month after month, year after year, until she finally realized that she'd had enough and she wanted to make changes.
That's brilliant. Now, on the podcast here, we talk about wealth. And wealth can be financial, obviously, but it can also be personal or emotional. What are your top 3 tips to create wealth?
You have to decide what you want. And I know that sounds crazy, but you literally have to decide exactly what you want and then unpack it. Because a lot of people say, oh, I want to make $100,000 a year. Okay, what does that $100,000 actually give you? What does it bring to your life? Well, it might give me more freedom, more time. It might give me the ability to take my kids on holiday. It might allow me to buy a house, whatever. But we need to unpack, because it's never the surface goal that we want. It's always something behind it. And that's what we have to look for. That's the goal. That's the nugget we need to dig for. Because once we've got that, we can then say, okay, I want this $100,000 a year because of that reason. So this is what I'm going to do to go and get it. And then you go to it, and it's the journey leads us to the goal. And the journey then becomes, amazing, magical, wonderful. Our life changed because we had this goal we want to aim for. And having that goal and being on that journey, it, to me, is real wealth. Knowing why you're here or what it is that you want to go for. Because we've talked about this already, but so many people don't know what they want out of life. They don't know where they're going. They have no desire, no ambition. They're full of regrets. They're not prepared to take risks, and so on. And the difference with people that are happy and living their life, they know where they're going. They know what their goal is. They know what they want. So my main overarching tip or suggestion is know what you want. That's the main thing. Discover that reason. Discover your thing. The second one for me would be to, and this comes from a place of love, is to stop making excuses. I'm not ready now. Today's not a good day. I don't have time. The opportunities aren't there. I don't have a chance to do this. I can't leave this relationship. I can't do this. I can't do that. I'm not able to lose weight because of X, Y, or Z. It's to eliminate the excuses, get rid of them completely, totally, and utterly, so that you can move forward. The third one is stop comparing yourself. So many people today will spend time looking at other people and go, oh my God, I wish I could be like them. I wish I had that lifestyle, or I wish I looked like that person, or I wish I had that person's money, and so on and so forth. Well, the truth of the matter is you probably don't, because the person that has all that money has probably spent the past 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years working 12-hour days, 7 days a week. If you really wanted that, you'd be doing the same thing. The guy with the beach body probably spends 6 hours a day, 6 days a week in the gym and eats a really precise, planned out diet. But if you want to have a few beers with your takeaway every night, you're not going to have the beach body. We need to stop comparing ourselves to other people and find out what it is that makes us tick, what it is that we really, really want to be getting on with, because your mindset is everything. It's a bit of a cliche now, but once you're clear and you know what you want, your mindset will help you to go in the right direction, will point you in the right way. You can go and get on and do it.
That is so true. At my company, Holistic Natural Health Australia, we look at root cause of health. I hadn't even thought about root cause of mindset. That's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, there are so many things that we forget. I mean, we have these amazing memories, and the problem is we don't actually forget. Is that we don't know we have them, or we're not able to recall them consciously. A lot of the work that I do with clients is helping them to let the rational brain, the bit that's listening to me now and thinking about what you've got to do later, getting that to switch off momentarily, so the subconscious can go, yeah, I know the answer, I know why you're stuck, it's because of this or this. And once we can do that, once we've found the root cause, or the source of the problem, we can then go in and remove all of the baggage that's associated with that memory and turn it from something that's holding us back, holding us down, into something that just becomes another memory floating around in our heads.
So true. Now, we talk about weight gain, weight loss here. And it's something that many people have battled quite needlessly. And we know that the main reason of weight gain in particular is stress. What's your take on weight issues?
The reason why people weigh more than they want to are many and varied. But to be perfectly honest with you, unless it is a directly medical related issue, it comes down to choice. It comes down to the choices we have made and accepting those decisions that we've made right up until this very instant that we're discussing right now. Because once you can do that, you can then make a decision that, yeah, I'm ready now. I'm going to lose the dress sizes. I'm going to get down to a size 12, or I'm going to lose, 100 pounds or 50 pounds or 20 pounds, whatever it is, because I'm fed up now. I don't want to look like this. I don't want to feel like this, and I'm going to do what it takes. But if we blame the outside world, if we blame, oh, they make takeaways too delicious, the fast food is just so tempting, they put sugar in everything, and we take the responsibility away from ourselves and put the blame on other people, we're never going to lose the weight. We are never, just like my client with the relationship issues, putting on the weight was partly due to not wanting to be involved with guys anymore and building this shield around her. So that was one reason. And once we unpacked it, we were able to deal with it. But she wanted to make the changes. That was the important factor. She knew she was overweight. She knew she smoked. She knew both of those scenarios weren't good in helping her find a partner. So she decided to take action. And she did. She accepted responsibility for the way she looked. And then we dealt with it. Whatever it is in life, whatever's holding you back, we have to take responsibility for our actions, because you may say, oh, no, well, it's the fault of my relationship. It's the fault of my boss. It's the fault of this, that, or the other. Yes, there are certain things that we cannot control, like the weather, like we can't control the economy. But what we can control is how we respond to those events, how we respond to what a person says, how we respond to how a person acts. That's our choice, always has been, always will be. So if someone is struggling with their weight, my first question is, why are you struggling with it? Why don't you accept that you have chosen not to eat healthily right up until today, and that from today we're going to make the changes that we need to make so that we can start eating healthily and lose the weight and get to our target, whatever that may be. But if you keep blaming other people, if you keep pushing the responsibility to someone else, it's never going to happen, because there'll always be an excuse. Well, I couldn't lose weight today because I got really stressed out because my boss shouted at me. Or I couldn't eat healthily today because, my kids came home and they'd had a bad report from school and that stressed me out. So I had to sit and eat this thing. Or, I had to have those 7 beers last night because I was just feeling really down. They're all excuses. And rather than just saying, look, I fancied having the 6 beers last night, I accept that and I accept the consequences, that's much better than saying, well, it was their fault because I had a bad day or because of this. Take responsibility, because once you take the responsibility, you can move forward and you can then start looking for solutions rather than blame.
Totally. And that blame game is a form of toxicity. I noticed in the notes that you passed me, I asked all my guests to send me some notes, and you mentioned self-imposed toxicity. That's what that blame game is.
Yeah, absolutely. It's also the negative talk, but I'm not talking just about the stuff that goes on in our head. Whenever we badmouth someone, whenever we put ourselves down by saying to someone, "Oh, you know, Paul, I'll never be able to lose the weight. You know, Paul, I'll never be able to stop smoking. You know, Paul, I'm not good at this job. You know, Paul, I'll never be able to make more money than I'm making now." Every time you say those things, you are putting another nail in your metaphorical coffin, because you're saying to yourself, I'll never, I'll never, I'll never, I'll never, I'll never. And as we mentioned earlier on, your mind goes where you point it. So if you say, I'll never be able to do this, I'm too stupid to do that, your brain goes, yeah, okay, gotcha. You're too stupid to earn more money. So I'll make a note of that. I'll put that in the book and we'll never make any more money. Yeah, you can't resist chocolate cake, right? I've got that. I'll put a note in the book and we will always eat chocolate cake whenever we see it. Whenever we are negative, whenever we speak negative things out loud, we are reaffirming these words. We are, cutting this groove into the ground. It's toxic, it's poisonous, because you are poisoning your mind. You're sending your mind down a dark alley with no escape at the other end. We have to stop doing that. And the easiest way to do that is to catch yourself. So if you're about to say someone says to you, "Oh, Paul, I thought you were going down the gym today." And you respond, "Well, there's no point me going down the gym because I'll never lose the weight." If you're about to say that, catch yourself and either don't say it or say something different. Say, "Yes, I got up to go to the gym this morning, but I changed my mind." That's being honest with yourself. That's not lying. That's not toxic. Whereas if you make up all the excuses, or you lie to, "Oh, I'll never be able to lose the weight, so I didn't bother going to the gym," then that's toxic. But if you stop yourself and catch yourself, it makes things easier. It starts to unwind all of that toxicity. It starts to clear it away. It starts to drain it away. You start to drain the toxicity, the negativity away and out of your life when you stop saying negative things out loud, and then catch yourself when you say negative things in your head, because you're the only person who can hear what's going on in your head. So if you say something negative, get into the practice, into the mode of catching yourself in your head as well. And what I mean by that is, if you say to yourself, "Well, I'll never be able to do this," catch yourself and change it. "I haven't started yet, so how do I know? It might take me longer." Change that negative phrase into something that is either neutral or positive. Let me give you an example. "I'll never be able to lose the weight." As soon as you catch yourself saying that, change it and say, "Well, I haven't actually started a program to lose weight yet. So once I do, I will do. We'll see how it goes. It may take me a while, but I'll get there." Catch yourself saying something out loud. Catch yourself saying the negativity in your head and stop it and rephrase it.
That's great. And just if it is a medical condition that's preventing you from losing weight, it does still come down to toxicity, comes down to root cause of illness, of, what is the driving factor of what is going on inside your body, because your weight could just be a symptom of that. So again, if it's your mindset, reach out to Paul here. If it's a health issue, send us a message at Holistic Natural Health, because we can help you get to that root cause, and then you will be in a better place to work with your mindset.
Yeah, I'm not a doctor, so I'm not going to go down that road. But what I will say is that my friend who I mentioned earlier on with the Marfan syndrome, she'd been put on some medication, and one of the noted side effects of that medication was weight gain. There was something about the chemical composition of the drug that she was taking that made her put on a lot of weight. Once we had figured that out, she spoke to her doctor and got taken off that particular medication and put onto something that didn't have the same side effects, basically, and she lost the weight. So I agree with you that the medical toxicity can come from some pre-existing thing in our heads, but there also are situations, very rare, I have to admit, very rare, where it is down to a genuine medical reason. But for the vast majority of people, it's not that. It's simply the inability to take responsibility and then to make a decision and act.
Thank you for that. Now, Paul, we love freebies here. What freebies can you offer our listeners when they get in touch with you?
Ooh, a freebie. Okay, let me have a think. What I can do is I've got a book on imposter syndrome, which you haven't talked about, but it's a very, very important part of mindset. People, feeling like a fake, procrastination, perfectionism, all that kind of thing. And it's a very useful book. There's lots of tips on how to deal with it. I can give you a link to grab that. There's no cost, completely free. All you do is got to drop your email in so I can send it to you.
And how can people get in touch with you, Paul?
The best way to reach me is via Facebook. And because my name, Paul Wilson, is quite a common one, if you look for Paul Wilson Mindset Coach, all in one kind of phrase, and stick that into Facebook search, you'll find me.
So that's Paul Wilson Mindset Coach in the Facebook search. And I think we might have to get you back on to talk about imposter syndrome. That's a whole episode in itself.
Oh, absolutely. I love talking about it. It's my specialty. And the thing that I call the devil's triangle: procrastination, perfectionism, and paralysis.
Terrific. So that will be an upcoming episode here. Thank you so much, Paul, for sharing your wisdom with the listeners and with me. And I would like everyone to really embrace what you've heard today. Listen to the podcast, take some notes, and we will definitely speak to Paul again about imposter syndrome. In the meantime, episode 33 is coming up, and you will have me talking about change and the mindset of major changes that need to happen at a split second. For now, thank you, Paul. Thanks for coming on and sharing your wisdom.
Thank you, Magic. It's been fun. I enjoyed myself.
No problem. And listeners, go forth and create your magical life.
Thanks for listening today. Please subscribe to hear future episodes, leave a review, and share this podcast. You can follow us on Facebook at A Magical Life Podcast or at Holistic Natural Health Australia. That's holistic with a W. You can find us on Instagram at Holistic Natural Health or at www.holisticnaturalhealth.com.au. That's where you'll access all sorts of articles, freebies, and more.